Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. I understand that many of you might be a little freaked out with some of the stuff that's happening in the class right now. So I've decided to give you these videos dealing with the basics of algebra because a lot of you have very weak algebra skills. Okay, so I'm starting with the very basic stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. I think there's going to be a trilogy, so you can look forward to 2 more episodes of algebra here. The first thing I need to talk about are what we call terms. Okay, terms are either letters or numbers. So let's look at this: numbers or letters, because we use letters like X, right, in algebra, or a combo. Okay, so what we have is 2 is a term, right? X is a term. Even if I look at something like 2x, that's still a term as well, okay? 2x squared, that's another term. What determines uh, when a term ends? Well, all terms are split up by a plus or a minus sign, okay? So whenever you have a plus or a minus, it means that you've kind of ended a term and you're about to begin another term. So there's a term, there's a term, and there's a term. Okay? So one term, we call that a monomial. Okay? 2 terms, call that a binomial. Okay? 3 terms, and we call that a trinomial. Okay? And above that, they're just called polynomials. Okay? But that's what a term is. Okay? The next thing we have to talk about is what a variable is. Okay, and we got 2 things, a variable and a constant. So those words should probably mean something to you. Now, a constant is something that doesn't change, right? So a constant is simply a number on its own. Okay, on its own. So 2 is a constant, plus 2, minus 2. Those are all just constants, okay? A variable is a letter, okay, that represents a number, usually the solution to a question, okay? A letter that represents, I'm going to write down the solution or a solution, okay? Now, that can be an X or a Y, or sometimes it can even be an XY together, and you've got 2 variables. So these are all variables, okay? If you have an equation that has an x, all the x's are the same thing. If you have a different variable in that equation, then you're going to need like 2 different variables, sometimes even 3 different variables, okay? So you can have a lot of different variables. We're dealing with simpler ones that just have, say, 1 variable, maybe 2, okay? Now, what else do we have? Oh, a coefficient. Look, that's good, because that's what I wanted to look at, coefficient. So we've got a variable, an x, we've got a constant, we've got a 2, so x plus 2, that's a binomial, it's got 2 terms. That's a variable, that's a constant. Where else can we put a number here? Sometimes we put a number in front here. It could be a 3, it could be a half, it could be whatever. It is the number in front of the variable, and that is what a coefficient is, okay? The number in front of the variable. All right, the number in front of the variable. Like I said, it could be positive. Well, I didn't say that. It could be positive or negative, but it could be a number. It could be a fraction. It could be a decimal. Okay, so these are terms that you need to understand. All right, these are terms that I will be using that are going to be used in your book. You need to understand them. So this right here now, okay, this is what we call a mathematical expression. Okay, it's a number sentence basically. This is what they call, let's write this down. Okay, this is a mathematical expression. Okay, just like an expression is all's well that ends well, or we can think of a bunch of them. Just an expression, verbal expression is a sentence. Well, a mathematical expression is simply a number sentence, okay, that represents something. And we're going to see what those things that are very shortly, the things that they represent, okay? So what we're going to have to do here, let's look at a couple of things here. Not too much, still basics. Okay, we're looking at what we call gathering like terms. Okay, gathering like terms. Okay, this could be something as simple as if I say 3 plus 2, you're not going to say to someone, that you have 3 plus 2 children, you're going to tell them that you have 5 children. You're going to simplify it by grouping them together. Okay. Now it is that simple when you start talking about variables as well. Okay. If I have x plus 3x, how many x's is that, right? Well, some of you are going to say there's 2 x's. Yeah, you're right. There's 2 x's. The other thing is what's happening here. If there is no number in front of this x, well, what's there? Well, there's a 1 there, okay? If there's just an x, it's a 1x. So 1 x's and 3 x's, that gives you 4 x's, right? So we combine like terms or gather like terms. A very, very basic point in algebra and a very important one. If you don't simplify by gathering these like terms, it's going to make it way more difficult, okay? So let's look at something else. Well, actually, it's going to make it impossible. So if I have 3x minus 2 plus x plus 5, okay? We've got an expression here, a mathematical expression. Can you simplify this into something that's a little more palatable, right? What we can do is group them together. We got a 3x and we got a plus 1x here. That gives me 4 x's, right? Here you have a minus 2, and then you're adding 5. Hopefully you're okay with your integers. Minus 2 plus 5 is plus 3. This entire thing simplifies to that, okay? The one last thing that I want to show you and to remind you of is what we call expansion, or what the hell is it called? Oh my goodness, the distributive property, okay? The distributive property. I like to call it, some people call it anyways, the arrow law. I'll show you why, okay? And it's basically what you do when you expand, and it deals with brackets. If I have 2 onto x plus 1, okay, it means I have 2 x plus 1s. So that means I have 2 x's, boom, and then I have 2 1s, boom, which is 2x plus 2. Okay, that's what we call expanding. That's getting rid of the brackets. That's also part of simplifying. Technically or mathematically, it's called the distributive property. Arrow law, because we sit here and we use arrows. Let's try another one. How about if I said a half times 6x minus 8? Okay, well, take that. I guess you can call it a coefficient, the number out front, but regardless, you take that number and you multiply it by both. Half of 6 is 3x. Half of negative 8 is negative 4. Okay, one last example here. If I gave you 2x squared minus 5x plus 1, and I asked you to expand this, you're going to go bang, bang, bang. Okay, and you're going to expand, and you're going to go 3 times 2 is 6x squared. 3 times minus 5 is 15, negative 15x, and 3 times 1 is 3. Now, if you're having difficulties multiplying these things out and getting, then we need to talk. Okay, come talk to me. I can teach you the basic number theory, but this is the most basic part of algebra. I hope this helps. Stay tuned for chapters 2 and 3.